Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We've got our next flip lesson coming at you. All right. So today we are looking at adding and subtracting polynomials. And I truly, truly believe you guys that this lesson is going to go really, really quick. So take your notes. Make sure that you are writing them down. You guys are going to be turning your notes in for points at the end of this. So make sure that you're taking good notes and you're following along with everything. My main suggestion is that you guys go through and you get your essential question written down. There's a bunch of definitions for this section just because we're looking at a whole bunch of different types of polynomials. So you kind of got to know what all of the terminology is, like when I'm talking about a monomial or a polynomial or a binomial or a trinomial. So there's a lot of different definitions that you're going to have to look at for this. So just take a second, make sure you get the essential question written down. How can you how can you add and subtract polynomials? And this is not working out. Okay, hang on just a second. Okay, so sorry, now that I've got my pen working. So how can you add and subtract polynomials? So the big thing that I think you guys should be taking care of right now is making sure that you are getting all of these definitions written down. So I'm going to just kind of scroll down for a second so that you guys can get the rest of these definitions down. Just pause. Sorry, you guys. I don't know what's going on with my Chromebook. So monomial, degree of a monomial. So these two charts that you see in front of you are really, really good just to show you like what a monomial is and what the degree is, and then what a monomial isn't, and then why it's not. So take a second, just look at those. And then down here, we've got the definitions of a polynomial. Sorry if you can't see them very well, because... All right, there we go. Polynomial, you've got a binomial. A binomial is just a polynomial with two terms. Like if you think of a bicycle has two wheels. And then a trinomial has three terms, so it's like a tricycle. And then the degree of a polynomial is just the degree, the greatest degree of its terms. And then standard form. So this is a good one. Because when we think of standard form, we usually think of that ax plus by equals c. So I just added in there that it's the standard form of a polynomial. So it's not like the standard form when we're talking about lines, because that standard form is different. This is standard form of a polynomial. And then you've got the leading coefficient, and then closed. So just make sure you get all of these definitions written down, that you see them and that you're familiar with them. So pause the video whenever you need to. And I'm gonna move on to the next slide. We're gonna do a couple of examples and get through this. Okay, so find the degree of each monomial. All right, so when we, okay, there we go. When we look at the monomial, because if you think back to the definition of a monomial, it's just a number or a variable. So we have to look at the exponent of this. So if we look at letter A, that exponent up there is 2. So the degree of this monomial is just 2. Okay, let me... So this... Okay, sorry, that's as good of a 2 as you're going to get from this, I guess. And then for letter B, now you have 2 variables. So on the last one, you just had the 1 variable, so you only had the 1 degree that you had to deal with. But for letter B, you have 2 letters. You have x, and that's x to the first. And then you've got y to the third. So you have to go ahead and you have to add those 2 together. So you have to take 1 plus 3. So the total degree of the monomial is 4. And then kind of the same thing with letter C. You're taking the 2 exponents, you're adding them together. So the degree of that monomial is 6. And then if you look at letter D, now this time there isn't a variable. So basically, the variable can still be there, but remember, anything to the 0 power is 1, right? That's kind of why we're transitioning into polynomials, is because we just got done working with exponents. So the degree of this monomial is 0. All right. So if you have any questions on any of these, just let me know tomorrow in class. Like make a note off to the left-hand side where it says questions. But you got 0, you got 6, you got 4, and you got 2. All right. Let's move on. Let's take a look at the next example. Okay. So again, here's just a couple more examples. If you want to take a second and try them, like pause the video, try them, just quiz yourself. So for number 1, that would be 4. Number 2, that would be 5. Number 3, that would be 1. And number 4, that would just be 0. Because again, that's negative 20.5x to the 0 power. Sorry, that looks like a 6, but that's a 0. And so you just raise it to the power of 0. All right. Then, looking at our next few examples, if I can get my tablet to go to the next page. Okay. So you do not have a core concept in here, but this is just, again, kind of the basics. It defines all of these terms. So if you want to take a second, just read through these paragraphs, pause the video. I'm going to kind of skim over it because you just defined all of these. But I think this graphic down at the bottom with the leading coefficient, the degree, and the constant term are really, really good. You guys should know what a constant is by now because we've talked about constants a lot. But the leading coefficient and the degree, those are 2 good things just to kind of look over again. All right. So for the next 4 examples, write the polynomial in standard form, identify the degree and the leading coefficient, then classify. All right. Looking at letter E. So the first thing says, write the polynomial in standard form. Remember, standard form when you're looking at polynomials means that you're going in degree order from highest to lowest. So for letter E, you actually have 3x squared. That's your highest degree. So that's going to come first. Then your x is going to come second. And then your 5 is going to come last. So then if we go ahead and we identify the degree, I'm just going to put D to stand for degree. For this one, the degree is 2. And then looking at the leading coefficient. So now that leading coefficient, you're always looking at the leading coefficient when it's in standard form. So in the original problem that we're given, your leading coefficient would be 1 because that's 1x. But your leading coefficient should always come once you've written it in standard form. So that leading coefficient should just be 3. And then classify the polynomial by the number of terms. So for this one, we have 3 terms, which makes this, and I'm just going to type this out really quick, this is going to be a trinomial because of the 3 terms. All right. So just moving on. Taking a look at letter F. Standard form, well, there aren't any other terms, so actually it already is in standard form. So that would just be, your standard form would just be the square root of 5y. Your degree, so if you look at the degree on the y, is just going to be 1. Your leading coefficient is going to be that square root of 5. And then this one only has 1 term. So this is just going to be a monomial. All right, then looking at letter G, they just flipped the order a little bit for you, so rearrange that so that it's in standard form. You'll have 6x to the 8th plus 3x to the 5th. Your degree is going to be 8. Your leading coefficient is 3. And then this one is a binomial. All right, then for the last one, looking at letter H, again, we got to rearrange so that f to the 4th is hiding in the back there. Then you're going to have f squared. Actually, that would be plus f squared, and then minus 2f. Your degree then, now that it's in standard form, is going to be 4. Your leading coefficient, remember, just so like that number has to exist, so your leading coefficient is 1. And then, again, we just have a trinomial. All right, so stuff that's pretty straightforward, pretty self-explanatory. If you want to go ahead, give these 3 problems a try. Pause the video, go ahead, try them. I will get this stuff together, and then I will make another video for the next bit of stuff. So we've actually got quite a few extra examples if you want to do them. I mean, if you want to do them and just bring them in to me tomorrow during class, then I can check them. So I'm going to be done with this one. Go through these problems. If you need just a little bit of extra practice, I can give you the answers, the solutions tomorrow. And then we'll go through and we'll work on adding some polynomials. So this is the end of your first video.